Hello, fellow human light beings. It is my distinct pleasure to be here with you today. I am Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and you have stumbled onto the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. This is the Solar Flash update for February 3rd of 2024. We on this channel are going to begin focusing on what we can do to escape this three-dimensional matrix. And so today we're going to be talking about how to purify your energy, how to regain your inner joy. This is your original essence. This inner joy is not something that you need to find outside of you. It is something that needs to be awakened, that already exists within you. And I especially want to talk about how to merge with higher dimensional versions of yourself. I've been actively doing this in my life. I had a huge experience with this again last night, and I'll tell you what I believe I did that led up to that. So we will definitely talk about that. First thing we all need to remember. First, I just want you to take a spot check of yourself, how you're physically feeling. What does your physical body feel like? And what are the emotions that you're having? And don't judge them, positive or negative. Don't judge them. Just take a spot check inventory on it. And if you're not having the best of days, just remember, this is a 3D virtual reality role-playing game. The problem is that we forget that this is what we're doing here. And we forget that we have access to the user preferences. We can decide to shift the specific functions of the game so that we can appreciate it and enjoy it. If you don't know that, you will stay forever trapped, and very likely you will be miserable. All right, so let's get into it today. What should I start off with? So I just want to share with you what's been happening with me. So there was a large period of time where the interdimensional intense experiences, they faded away. And I'm not the only person that has had this experience. If you're doing interdimensional meditation, in case you don't know what that is, you can go on to the playlists and look for interdimensional meditation. There are guided meditations there that you can do. But very often when people do these practices, they will tap into extremely powerful experiences, the likes of which people usually don't experience unless they're doing some kind of psychedelic. You're not. I'm not advocating that. In fact, you can have far greater DMT released into your brain if you learn how to do it naturally, which is one of the things that we do. But when people do interdimensional meditations, not everybody, not right away, but a lot of people will have extremely powerful mind-bending experiences in other dimensions, working with other dimensional beings. And then, like me, I think what happens with a lot of people is at some point things just kind of go flat. You'll go into meditation and nothing really will happen. I've since learned that when that happens, there are things I can do that I can induce my own journeys, and I don't have to depend on higher dimensional beings to facilitate it. I can do it myself. So I recommend people do that. Learn how to create things. Learn how to create those experiences without any other being facilitating it. But for quite some time, things got really, uneventful. I wasn't really communicating with very many higher dimensional beings, nothing really to write home about. And so I was starting to wonder, Now, thankfully, I have apprentices who are doing these practices, who they're having huge experiences. So I go, oh, okay. So it's not that this doesn't happen. It's just it comes in waves. And so something really shifted for me yesterday, and I think the reason for it is that I talked about the shift that I went through where something in me released, and it was old programming having to do with feeling devalued, not liking myself, thinking I'm unlovable, having just the stuff that our parents and our society drills into us, and we can buy into that, and we have these unconscious negative programs about ourselves. So a really big one, I'm hoping it's the last one, we'll see. A really big one came to light, and I released it, and I was extremely depressed for about a day. And then very quickly after that, because I released it, I went back into meditation, and I did step 4 through 7 of what, again, you can go to the playlists and do the 12 steps to 5D. I did steps 4 through 7, and that cleared that up. And the next thing I knew, I was in a completely different level of consciousness in my waking reality, and I wasn't having some kind of interdimensional DMT-induced experience. It was coming as a result of the release of negative programming, and then my conscious focus on experiencing the beauty that is already here. And that was apparently something that got the attention of higher dimensional guides, because once I did that, and then I started putting together some new videos, as you can see, I'm completely rebranding myself. So no more of the dark, mopey, angry thing. I'm rebranding who I am. And I'm letting you know what this is. This is a conscious shamanic practice. I am putting in front of me the goal that I want to achieve. So see that guy right there? That's my goal. That's how AI thinks I look. And that's my goal. I want to feel how that guy looks to me. And it's working. So apparently the combination of me taking those actions got the attention of my higher dimensional guides, and then yesterday they showed up. They showed up big time, and they did. They took me off into astral realms, and they sat me down, and they explained to me how important it is that we take full responsibility for our state of being. I'm uploading these short versions on TikTok and on Facebook and here on YouTube, and so some of them are getting a lot more traction. And I feel for these people, but some people have a lot of really negative things to say. When you tell people, it's an amazing thing. When you tell people, I have figured out a way to achieve higher dimensional experience, to achieve 5D, to be happy, and I want to teach it to you, when they respond by, attacking you and trying to downplay it, I mean, it's so amazing how much effort we put into creating our state of being. And people don't want to take responsibility. I understand that. But the catch-22 is, if you want to wait for something outside of you to come, if you want to wait for the solar flash to come, you can. Maybe it will. I do believe that the solar flash event is coming, that it is an external event. But I'm not waiting around for it. I want to be happy now. I've always felt this, especially most recently in my life. But it's amazing to me how, it's not amazing to me, I understand it, but it's sad, but I have a lot of compassion for these people, because I am one of them. And But people would rather stay where they are because they understand it. And people get angry when you tell them, when you give them hope. It's one of the weirdest human reactions we have. When you give somebody hope and you give them specific tools on how to, get out of whatever they're complaining about, their victim state. Victims love to complain, but they don't really want to move out of it. And in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the first experiences I had after this was there was a couple of days where I was just, again, I wasn't blissed out of my mind. I was normal, functioning state of mind, but I was just very comfortable and very happy at a level that, has been rare for me. And then I realized I was uncomfortable. And why is this making me uncomfortable? It's because I'm not used to it. It's not familiar. So we stick with what's familiar. And, this is a familiar state of being. Now that guy's having a good time. He's looking at this beautiful, mountain scene with rainbows. But normally what people have going on in their 3D video game is their projections of their own self-devaluation. And then they blame everything and everybody else on it. But not only are you responsible, the good news is you are fully capable of changing this experience. And the other good news is if you do the work, if you do your best to shift and take responsibility, beings with tremendous power are going to come and help you. And I'm going to repeat something I heard from Dr. Joe Dispenza, one of my new heroes, superheroes. In fact, we're going to be talking about the pineal gland later on in this video. But I've shared this story a bunch of times. I'll keep sharing it because it's very important. He was leading a seminar in awakening the pineal gland for healing. So his method of meditation. By the way, my method of pineal gland activation is easier on the body. So, don't tell him, don't hurt his feelings. But he does his version of the pineal gland meditation. And as he was teaching the seminar, he started to see, in his waking mind, he started to see these beings, these what he described as these tall light beings that were surrounding, on the walls, surrounding the participants. And he reached out to them, I assume in meditation, and he says, "Why don't you join us?" And they said, "We would love to, but we can't. We can't go down to your frequency because it is damaging to us. And we love ourselves too much to do anything that is self-damaging. But if you can raise your frequency and try to achieve the frequency we're at, we will meet you halfway." And so they did that. And then the amazing thing that started happening, people levitating and bodies getting readjusted and people having all kinds of crazy experiences. This is my experience. If you haven't experienced higher dimensional beings, if you've been doing the interdimensional meditation, don't give up. Do the things that you can do. The 12 steps to 5D are very practical steps you can take which will begin to shift your frequency. We've talked about it. Yesterday we talked about things like focusing on gratitude, identifying and releasing resentments, doing anonymous good deeds. These are things you can do and you don't have to be happy to do them. You can feel miserable, suicidal, homicidal, you can be full of doubt, but if you literally just do the things that I talked about, watch yesterday's video if you want to hear about that, that will shift your frequency. And so do the things that you know you can do. Don't let the depression, the sadness, the disillusionment, don't let that stop you. Those are just feelings. I know it's difficult. I'm not trying to say it's easy. It's not. Especially when you're not feeling it. It's very difficult. And it's just, here's the thing. If you want things to get worse, don't do anything. That's the fastest way for things to get worse. And unfortunate as it might be, as inconvenient as it might be, to make things better means we're going to have to put some effort into it. That's why I've been saying all these years, the two most important things in life are to pay attention and put effort. If you put your effort in the right direction with the right tools, you're guaranteed success. But you may not see it right away. So my light being friends, they were waiting and they were leaving me alone because I needed to do these things on my own. I needed to make these shifts and come to these awareness by myself. And then when I started taking actions without their intervention, then they showed up and they said, good, you passed another level. And then I got a huge, crazy amount of downloads and things like that last night. Anyway, before we get deeper into this, if you're new to the channel, I need you to subscribe, like, and comment. Go to the free playlist section. It won't cost you anything. Go to the playlists on my Thunder Wizard YouTube page. Click on these three playlists, the Maoshan Qigong, the Interdimensional Meditation, and the 12 Steps to 5D. While you're doing that, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, the most powerful, energetic, meditative practice in history. I challenge you to go and find anything that is more powerful than that. I challenge you to find anybody teaching more real, practical stuff that works than I do. It won't hurt my feelings, but you won't find it. If you just put a teeny bit of effort in it, you'll see amazing results from it. And of course, while I'm on the topic, you can go get my books at michaelwilliamdenny.com. Go here to 923.thunderwizard.com if you want the serious stuff. If you're ready to jet out of 3D now, go here. Most powerful practices ever revealed to human beings. All right, so yeah, we talked about that. So let's talk about the pineal gland. All right, so the pineal gland is extremely important. The pineal gland is something that is dormant for most humans. I mean, it does some basic things. It regulates hormones and things like that, which is, allows you to sleep and wake up and, all the stuff that the basic stuff that the pineal gland does. But the pineal gland is a sacred temple. There's a reason why the symbolism, and you can see it here, I specifically put that in here. You see the symbolism of that mountain peak. There's a reason why spiritual masters go into the mountains. Because real mountains, the most powerful mountains, are the guts of volcanoes. And so they're filled with a lot of quartz. And I've experienced it. I know from personal experience, I've been on very high mountains that were metamorphic rock, and they were nice and beautiful, but they didn't have the power that you have, like for instance, in the southern Sierras, the Sierra Nevada mountains. You go there, you get to the top of Mount Whitney or something like that. You're going to feel a huge amount of energy, not just from lack of oxygen, but you're on this giant, basically a giant quartz crystal that's got its roots all the way down into the roots of the earth still. And so the pineal gland is made of crystals, rhombohedron crystals right back here. And when it's dormant, it just does its job of regulating, certain functions in the body. But when you can get the spinal fluid to move up there and you charge it with energy, especially if you're doing the Maoshan practices, which create a very strong electromagnetic field. When you start to create this and everything lines up perfectly, then this crystalline structure begins to vibrate. And it creates an electromagnetic energy itself. That then is flipping on the transceiver. You have a transceiver, an antenna that both sends and receives. This is why people who take psychedelics, for example, what they're doing is they are forcing the DMT to be released in the brain. And so it stimulates the pineal. It doesn't strengthen it, it actually weakens it, just to let you know. That's why I don't recommend it, because when you externally stimulate the pineal, you weaken it. But when you stimulate it internally, and you know how to turn that switch on and off, which is what these practices are, then what ends up happening is that you end up strengthening. And then we get to the point where you can be, you know, again, if you ingest DMT, you're lucky if you're having an experience for 10 minutes. But imagine being in that state for 10 or 12 hours and being fully functional. Imagine being in that state forever. That's what 5D is. You want to know what 5D is? Very simply, 5D is full activation of the pineal gland. Because your perception of your reality has to do with this transceiver. When the pineal is just in its normal current human state and it's not activated, it is set at the frequency of 3D and you perceive it. That's why when people do psychedelics, what happens is all of a sudden everything changes and they're in a completely different reality. This is why shamans who do these kinds of practices will wake up and they'll be in a completely different world. Because the pineal regulates your perception of this reality. So I just want you to understand how important it is, and this is why, if you want to know why it is that somebody who is a horrible, evil murderer, who isn't righteous, who doesn't have good morals, who doesn't have spirituality, why is it they can do these practices and experience higher dimensional heavenly bliss? Because it's not about you being perfect. This isn't religion. This isn't about you being free of sin. It's about you physically, specifically learning how to turn on and turn off these switches. There are two ways to do it. The first way, which most people have to go through, which is the longer method, is they have to really focus on changing their focus on reality. That's why they focus on good deeds. That's why they focus on karma. There's why the karma yoga, bhakti yoga, which is worshiping deities. This is about focusing so that you change your psychological and emotional experience. That will trigger the pineal gland. But good news is, if you're stuck, miserable, horrible, evil person filled with anger, hate, whatever your negativity is, self-pity, doesn't matter what, if you do the specific practices, that will flip on the pineal, and then your morality, your psychology, your emotions will shift. You'll have to face your attachment to that negativity, which is again why the long path of bhakti yoga, worshiping, and karma yoga, doing good deeds, that's why the long path ends up working, because the whole point of that is to let go of your attachment to your negativity and your self-deprecation and your victim mentality. So they're already set up. By the time that they learn the something or get some powerful practices, they can stay there. This is why when people achieve enlightenment in yoga or something, after doing it for 20 or 30 years and they achieve the state of enlightenment, they stay there because they've worked so hard to detach from their comfortability being miserable and angry and afraid and lonely and full of self-pity. So the faster way is doing the practices. The fastest way is this Maoshan 5-element. Those practices are the quickest way to turn on the pineal. Fastest way I know. But you're going to have to face all of your emotional attachments. So you pick one. This is really the truth behind the left versus the right hand path. Most people who talk about left and right hand path, I have to tell you, they have no idea what they're talking about. The right hand path is changing your psychological state so that you are comfortable in the mindset of higher dimensional vibration. The left hand path is physically manipulating the pineal to turn itself on so that you gain the power more quickly. And both have the downside. The downside of the left-hand path, which is what we're doing here, this is a left-hand path. The downside of the left-hand path is that you are going to have to face your inner demons and let them go. You're going to have to face your attachments, and it's going to be challenging for some people. But you're going to gain, the positive is you're going to gain power very quickly. The downside of the right-hand path, which is spending your whole life denying yourself, changing your understanding, meditating, mantra, good deeds, karma, the downside is that your ego gets attached to all of this righteousness that you're doing. In fact, I've never seen people bicker and fight more than Buddhists, because it's a very right-hand path, the Buddhist path. They get so wrapped up in the right way of thinking and doing, and theirs is the truth, in the sex within it. And they literally go to blows with each other over dogma. That's the downside of the right-hand path. The other downside is it takes a long time. But the good news I've already pointed out. Once they achieve it, they never lose it. So, I'm not one of those people. I'm not somebody that has the patience for that. I like experiences. I like strong, powerful experiences. I love the idea of energy. I love the feeling that I get from it. I get high off of it. So I do that, and then I'm given the power, and then I have to then wrestle with my psyche to move past it. So let's talk about the pineal gland. And by the way, again, before I forget, my experience, the reason why I've created all this, the 90-day challenge, the 923, the reason why I created that is because I was looking for the fastest way to achieve it. And I'm sharing it with you. And the good news is we're in the state now. This solar flash event is primed for the left-hand path. Quick activation. So if you want that, there's other places to go, but anyway, I'm here for you. All right, so the pineal gland opens direct experience of 5D. As I said before, 5D isn't a place, it's a frequency. Right where you are now, without leaving wherever it is that you are. Wherever you are, there are multiple realities stacked on top of each other. Just like when you turn on a radio. There are multiple radio stations just hitting you right now. You're getting hit with so many different radio signals from thousands of radio stations. So you don't have to go anywhere. All you have to do is adjust the frequency of your antenna. This is the pineal. It opens direct experience of 5D. The pineal gland is going to be open for all humans who choose to go to 5D. This is going to be the norm. And that's the only thing. I just got hit with some energy, so whatever I just said was on track there. The Hopis have said that we are moving from the age of the animal to the age of the human being. So even though we're technically human beings, we haven't achieved full human being status. Full human being status is nothing more than full activation of the pineal gland. And we already talked about perception. And the end result of this is end to suffering and end to isolation. So again, I keep hammering away at it, but I want you to understand what's behind it. I'm constantly hammering away at people who believe that there are such things as false beings of light who trap you in reincarnation. That belief is a frequency. And that belief will dictate your actions. That belief will dictate your reactions. And, so the fifth dimensional frequency is at a frequency where there are certain things that won't physically, are impossible to exist. Like those light beings said, when Joe Dispenza asked them, why don't you come down and be with us? They said, we can't. I'm going to reinterpret for them. They could have said, we can't. We vibrate at a higher frequency. We can't go down to that frequency. We can't stay where we are in this beautiful, blissful place if we come down to where you guys are. You have to come up to where we are. And if you want, if you try, we'll help. We'll help pull you up. But it's like if you're on the ship and somebody's got thrown overboard, you jumping off the ship doesn't save them. Then you're both in the drink, and you can't make, the ship is too high. Somebody has to throw a life preserver down to you and then pull you up. So it really doesn't serve you. I understand why you feel that way, but that's, again, the reason why you think that higher dimensional beings are evil and are trying to trap you and feed you is because of this. That is the video game that you've programmed to see and experience. And imagine that you can adjust the frequency of your goggles. So that guy's adjusted. If you look at it, he's got some energy hitting his pineal there. So he's adjusted his frequency. His video game has a very pleasant experience in there. So you have to adjust that. You have to take full responsibility. Let's see, what are we talking about here? So the end result is an end of suffering and an end of isolation. All right, so let's get into the physical things that you can do. The most practical things you can do is to create a positive environment for your psyche and your emotions. This is necessary. So this is literally putting your hands onto the knob and shifting the frequency to get a different radio station. That is steps 4 through 9, and I put in there in parentheses 10 and 11. So go to the playlist that says 12 steps to 5D. Do them. This is the most efficient way and most practical way. If for you all of this stuff is what people call woo-woo, when people call it woo-woo, it means I don't know how to practically apply this. I don't know how, show me how to do it. Give me something practical. The most practical way to create a mindset that will be able to tolerate the higher frequencies is to doing 12 steps to 5D. I've mentioned this before. I've got somebody I know whom I respect who's also done the steps before. And he says that Buddhism is trying to get to the place that the 12 steps take people. It's the most practical way to shift your psyche. And it's the most practical way to understand how to apply spiritual principles. It's not religion, it's not a bunch of love and light, it's not I'm high on drugs and I think I'm connected. It is the most practical footwork way that you can do this. So first thing you want to do if your intention is to flip on the pineal so that you can achieve 5D, I recommend doing steps 4 through 9. Don't start with 4, start with 1. But it's steps 4 through 9 that do it. If you've gotten all the way through 4 through 9, then you do 10 and 11. And I haven't made videos on that yet, but 10 is to continue to take inventory of your resentments and continue to take responsibility for destructive actions and destructive mindset. You might not have to go through the whole, deal of writing out a giant fourth step again, but you can do spot checks. And 11 is just having a spiritual practice on a daily basis, a meditative practice. So if you've already done steps 1 through 9, then you can just do 10 and 11. The next thing that I recommend that you can do simultaneously is the huar breath. You're hearing it in the background. There are videos I've got guided versions of it. If you want to know exactly how to do the breath, what you're hearing is you're hearing me chant it out loud. By the way, let me just state that whole, whatever it is, it sounds like I got a Tibetan weird thing. Sounds like some Tibetan monk is doing it. I don't know why, but that's just what happens to my voice when I do it. I don't try to do it. I can't do it with any other mantras. I can only do it with the hul breath and the huar breath. Makes sense because I'm the person who downloaded those two mantras, seed sounds. So I guess, we could make some guesses about why that is. So you don't have to try and copy how that sounds. But it's going to be more powerful if you do it internally with the silent breath. So to understand that, go and watch my hul breath videos. You can type them anywhere on YouTube or even probably on Google or whatever, and they'll come up, and follow directions on how to do the silent version. Make sure that you got breath coming out your nostrils and your mouth at the same time. When you figure out how to do that technique, that immediately triggers the pineal, immediately. When you do it right, you immediately feel yourself going into a state of trance. So don't get upset with yourself if you don't do it perfectly. Just ease into it. But that is, I guess, probably the fastest way to turn on the pineal. The huar breath, especially the huar breath. The huar breath is the breath itself. Specifically what it does is it flips on the pineal and connects to 5D. Everybody has a different experience of it. I have my own experiences when I do it. And the great thing is I do it when I'm astrally, flying around, I'll do it. I'll have my body physically be doing the huar breath, and that fuels me astrally to go places and do things. I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, maybe it'll come back to me. So daily interdimensional meditation. I do the huar breath when I'm doing interdimensional meditation. But it is that huar breath is the frequency. What I was going to say is that people have been saying to me, some of the experiences that they had, and somebody said something interesting that said that the huar breath is like creating some kind of momentum. Like it creates a momentum within them that they can feel. And the huar breath is you very literally pushing forward the 5D, the solar flash event, which is an ongoing event. When you do that, you are actually like cranking the wheels of the solar flash event. There's nothing that you can do that has a more powerful effect on the collective unconscious of the planet. We'll see what happens. My hope and my guess is that when we do get to 5D, this is going to replace the Om mantra. Originally the Vedics, the mantra that they had was Ing, which is the seed sound of Indra. And if you read the Vedas, the vast majority of the Vedas are hymns to Indra. So he was, that frequency was the Vedic society. Now the Hindu religion is Om, which is more of a Shiva, Odin type of mindset. But the seed sound for 5D, I believe, is going to be Huar. We'll see. I'm happy to be wrong, but I can tell you, believe me or don't, it's okay. I feel very confident that this is, because I didn't make this up, it was given to me. It was given to me by a higher dimensional being who taught me how to, energetically sat there with me and taught me how to do it. So it's not, this isn't about me. Anyway. So increasing gratitude. This is something you can do all day long. All day long. Look for things to be grateful for. And I know it sounds stupid and I know it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, but I guarantee you it's having a huge effect. And this, I'm saying this because it has a direct connection to the pineal. Manifesting your soul desire. Unfortunately, it's sad and understandable. People still are confused what soul desire is. So let me give you some understanding. If you're trying to figure out the difference between your personal 3D, perhaps negative desires and your soul desire, your soul desire will always have some proactive action that will result in something in the world. So for instance, wanting to escape 3D is not a soul desire. I can understand that somebody in that position, their overwhelming feeling is wanting to escape the pain that they're in. There's nothing wrong with that feeling. That's not a soul desire. The soul desire has no connection to 3D survival instincts. The state of being in the soul desire is an expansive one. So I'm pointing this out because somebody mentioned it, and they were convinced that their soul desire was escaping the third dimension. So I'm addressing that now. I didn't address it in my response, but I'm addressing it now. And if they're watching, they know who they are. That is not an expansive expression of your soul. That is a desire to escape. That is a desire to survive that's coming from, it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. This third dimensional reality is painful. But what I'm saying is that when you tap into your soul desire and you act on your soul desire, it gets rid of the fear-based need to escape. So it's important you understand that. If you don't, when you connect to your soul desire, if it doesn't give you joy, and it doesn't make you feel like you're expanding and creating and doing here and now, right here, right now. Your soul desire, you can't wait for your soul desire in 5D. It doesn't work like that. That's what Christians do. Christians wait for heaven. When they die and they go to heaven, then they'll be happy and with God, and they live miserable lives here, constantly begging and pleading for God's forgiveness. So the soul desire is something that gives you joy here and now. It may not last forever when you let's say you're a painter or something and your soul desire is when you're painting and you're expressing and you're lost in your bliss, and then you come back to 3D and maybe, negative stuff comes back. I go surfing, and when I'm out surfing, I'm happy and connected, and then I come back home and 3D comes piling back in. So I just want to help you guys to understand what it means. So if you haven't yet determined what your soul desire is, then I encourage you to get the Shamanic Secret Commandment. Read it. Read it over and over and over. And ask yourself if what you're thinking of as your soul desire, are there things that you can do right now, here, today, that will help you achieve it? If not, if it's something that's going to happen later, when such and such happens, then it might not be your soul desire. So, manifesting your soul desire is again, one of the most powerful ways to flip on the pineal gland. And anyway, that's all I got from that. Okay, so I'm done with my babbling for today. Thank you guys for showing up. By the way, as you can tell, I'm now putting a lot of effort into promoting the channel through YouTube Shorts, which I'm also putting on TikTok and Twitter and Facebook. So if you want to support me on those platforms and whatever it is that they do to other people do to like and forward and whatever, please go look for me there so that we can get this message out to everybody. I'm hoping things will start moving in a more expansive direction. All right, so that's it for me in terms of all the stuff that I want to talk about today. Let's see what we got here in the chat. Thundra says hello. Hi, Thundra. Timothy Zoll says, honest feeling. Even when feeling like crap, doing the work makes a difference on how I treat myself and how I respond to others, like I'm sitting in serenity during the storm. Yeah, that's my experience as well. Okay, I don't see anything else here, so you guys know the drill. It really does make a difference if you're, do the free stuff, go again to the playlist section, do the Mao Shan Qigong Interdimensional Meditation, 12 Steps to 5D. Subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong if you're dead serious. That is, by the way, what keeps this channel going. So if you want to actually support the channel, the way to do that is by subscribing to the 90-Day Challenge, or things like getting the books, 923.thunderwizard.com. And you can also get a session with me. You can go to career.thunderwizard.com, scroll to the bottom and purchase a session. If you need to find out what your soul desire is, for example, I can guarantee you I'll help you find it, and we'll map out a strategy on how you can make that happen. Also, I recommend everybody have a teacher. You can't do this thing alone. You can't use your broken thinking to fix your broken thinking. So when people say things like, I'm working on my codependency, I'm working on my issues, I'm working on my victim mentality, that's like saying I'm using a broken computer to fix my broken computer. You need somebody else. It's the way that we're built. I have a teacher, and again, if you want what I have, you got to do what I do. So I'm making myself available as a teacher. You can go here to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at whatever apprenticeship level you want. You can work with me on a regular basis. People that work with me and follow all of my directions and do it consistently, every single one of them, their lives have absolutely transformed. So if you need practical tools and help, and somebody to put up a mirror and help you find out, the stuff that you're not quite seeing, like soul desire, I'm here and I'm available to help you with that. Go and subscribe at the apprenticeship level. All right, that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up. I love you all. Thank you to everybody who is doing the work. Everything that you do to empower yourself, you empower me, you empower all of the gods, all of the conscious beings. I guarantee you get up and clap every time you do something that empowers you. You may not see it, you may not feel it, but I guarantee you there's this huge thundering standing ovation and roar of applause and overwhelming joy. And I hope someday you can experience it. I've experienced it a lot of times when I've been with them. It's an amazing experience. So I hope you find that as well. That's it, my friends. I love you. Thank you all so much. I wish you all the best. If, as always, if I don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, if the solar flash don't come, and or I don't shift my frequency all the way to 5D and disappear, I will see you all again very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves.